I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin but by their character. And I have a dream today. I have a dream that enough is enough, and that tomorrow, when we stand here, we will lend a hand to one another to right this wrong. Let us together make some change. Let us end the madness. The words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. resonate to this day and speak to the still emergent dreams of the 21st century. We draw our vision for the future from the aspirations behind his dream of a world where the living can enjoy the fruits of their labor and the planet can aspire to 7th generations. Let me begin here by saying that there are vast differences between my personal preference for world government and the world government espoused by Martin Luther King. For King, political agency rested in the voting booth. For me, the foundation of that agency rests in people taking action at the local level, then challenging systems of power and wealth themselves. He envisioned the transformation of 20th century nation-states into a full-fledged regional form of political and economic organization. I envision a world rooted in the interdependence between rich and poor nations, regions, and cities, and the incorporation of non-state actors like the International Labor Organization and World Health Organization into public policy. Yet, what we do share is an aspiration to break free of the bounds of jingoistic language and political categories that divide us. Only bonds of solidarity based on the ability to meet human needs can bridge the vast differences that separate spiritual abstraction from physical reality and justice from injustice. It is essential that our definitions of progress endeavor to identify both overlaps and gaps in our global circumstances, rather than retreating to an illusion of separation-based security. The analysis of Dr. King's message released by the Institute for Policy Studies, released in conjunction with this week's sermon, Beyond Democracy, Towards More Effective Mass Movements or Collective Power, reveals an insightful reading of Baptist preacher Will D. Campbell's work, Midnight Ride of Martin Luther King, Jr., that speaks to deeper American understandings of patriotism, democracy, revolution, and the role of leadership. Social analysis and prophetic mystery aside for a moment, I take comfort from the notion that my commitment to short-circuiting the cycle of violence would depend on people creating new forms of leadership and new paths to resistance. The tendency to relegate the ideas of social and political change to the halls of academia or to power brokers and execs at think tanks obscures the fact that our plans and futures are in the palms of our hands. The societal changes required to adapt to and mitigate global warming will be won or lost at the local, community level. The determination to reshape our relationships with nature and environmental challenges represented by a like mind turned his wrath on the climate change deniers and right-wing proponents of consumption-driven capitalism in these pages. Only this time we had the forethought to include the theologians who had been chanting Hallelujah as Naomi Klein spoke and who had been strategizing like me on how to come at the issue from several angles to keep it on intellectual and moral ground. If climate change teaches us anything, it is that resistance to technological change and denial of its social complexities and ambiguities is a losing strategy. If people are willing to tackle head-on the impediments to change, there is still time left for nonviolent activism to upend the current course of environmental catastrophe and stave off the worst of the effects of global warming. Risky strategies reemerged in Rose Park, where the local Occupy movement challenged corporate pay raises in 2011. In that instance, which is eminently Levi Campus-esque, local and regional networks tied efforts to a living wage and health care to the region's network of historic sites, libraries, tourist spots, churches, and local businesses. Receiving and sustained media attention helped to win over a number of public entities, and the alliance resulted in a 2.25% wage increase. The group, protesting a strike against pay cuts waged by Continental Tire, veered from standard protest tactics but instead of destroying property looted a police shed and seized medical supplies as part of their playful protest action.